Hello, everyone. There comes a time when you must sit with yourself in silence and listen to the song that only your soul can hear. That quiet hum within you is sacred. Not everything you feel needs to be translated into words for the world. Not every joy deserves a spotlight, and not every pain seeks a stage. There is power in privacy and grace in mystery. When we speak of strength, we often speak of shouting, but sometimes the strongest act is learning when to whisper, and even more so, when to say nothing at all. People will clap with you when you laugh, but they will lean closer when you cry, and not always out of care. Some wish to know not so they can understand, but so they can measure you, examine you, define you. And that is no one's right but your own. You owe no explanation for how you love, how you rise, how you fall, or how you heal. The world may ask for your story, but you must decide if it deserves your chapters. Guard your life like a garden. Let it bloom where it is fed, not trampled by careless feet. You see, when too many hands dig through your soil, they do not always plant seeds. Some uproot your peace just to taste the scent of your vulnerability. And when the rain comes and your roots are exposed, not all who stand near are there to shield you. Some simply came to watch you drown. That is why the most beautiful trees stand tall with secrets nestled in there. They do not explain the seasons they've survived. They simply keep growing. There is something holy about silence. Not the silence that comes from distance or disconnection, but the silence you choose for yourself. The kind of silence that wraps around your spirit like a warm blanket, shielding you from the noise of the world. When you keep your personal life to yourself, when you choose not to put every detail out into open air, you're not being cold or secretive, you're being wise. Because your peace, your inner balance, it doesn't thrive in the hands of too many. It grows stronger in the stillness, in the quiet understanding that your life is your own. People may ask questions, lean in close, act like they care, but not everyone who wants to know you truly wants what's best for you. Some are drawn to your story out of curiosity, not compassion. Some listen with wide eyes but narrow hearts. And once your words are out, once your life is laid bare, you cannot gather those pieces back. You lose control of how they are carried, how they are told, how they are twisted. That is why peace lives in the space where you choose silence over explanation. When you guard your personal life, you are creating boundaries that feed your soul. You are telling the world, I am whole, even when you don't know everything about me. You give yourself room to breathe, to grow, to stumble and rise again without spectators measuring your steps. You are not a story to be consumed. You are a journey to be respected. People sometimes think that being open means being strong, but there is strength deep and rooted in choosing what not to share. There is power in saying, this is mine and not for anyone else to hold. You do not owe updates on your pain, explanations for your joy, or evidence of your healing. You can cry in private and laugh in silence. You can celebrate your victories without applause, and you can process your struggles without broadcasting them. The world moves fast and speaks loud, but your peace asks you to move slow and speak less. It asks you to listen to your own voice before letting others echo their opinions into your life. The more you share, the more others think they have a say. But when you keep your personal life private, you take that power back. You become your own safe place. So let your peace be your priority. Let it grow in your silence, bloom in your boundaries, and shine in the quiet confidence of someone who knows who they are without needing the world to know too. Protect your peace, and it will protect you. Not everyone who listens to your story is there to understand your heart. Some lean in with ears wide open, but their minds are filled with judgment, their eyes searching for flaws, and their hearts are too small to hold your truth with kindness. When you share your personal life freely, you might find that the very people you trusted to carry your pain or your dreams carry instead their own assumptions and expectations. It's a hard truth to face, but it is necessary if you want to protect your spirit. Listening is an art that many have forgotten. To truly listen is to open a sacred space where another soul feels safe enough to be vulnerable without fear of criticism or dismissal. But the world is not always filled with listeners. Too often people hear what they want to hear, or worse, what they need to hear to make you fit their own story. They listen not to hold you, but to weigh you, to compare you, or to question you. This is why not everyone deserves to be privy to your inner world. You may think that sharing your struggles will bring you closer to others, that opening up will lighten your load, and sometimes it does. But sometimes it invites scrutiny instead of support. It invites gossip instead of grace. When you expose your personal life without discernment, you give away pieces of yourself to people who might not have the strength or the love to honor them. And once those pieces are out, you cannot control what happens next. Your pain might be turned into a story to be whispered in corners. Your joy might be met with envy rather than celebration. That is why wisdom teaches us to be selective, to hold back not because we are ashamed, but because we are protecting what is sacred. Your personal life is your sanctuary, and not everyone deserves an invitation. To understand this is to respect yourself enough to keep some things close, to share your truth only with those who have shown they can hold it tenderly. This does not mean you live behind walls or close your heart to connection. It means you guard the door carefully, letting in only those whose presence enriches your spirit rather than drains it. It means recognizing that the loudest voices are not always the most loving, and the widest ears are not always the most trustworthy. You can be open and kind, but also discerning and wise. Remember that your story is powerful, but it is yours alone to tell when and where you choose. Not everyone who listens deserves the gift of your vulnerability. So keep your personal life guarded like the precious flame it is, sharing it only with those who will nurture it, not extinguish it. Hold your truth close and protect it well. Privacy is often mistaken for secrecy, but it is far more than that. It is an act of profound self-respect. When you decide to keep your personal life private, you are making a statement about your worth and your boundaries. You are saying to yourself and to the world that your life, your emotions, your struggles, and your triumphs are valuable, and they do not belong to anyone else but you. This is not about hiding or being mysterious for the sake of it. It is about honoring the sacred space that is your inner world. In a time when oversharing has become a norm, where every moment is broadcast and every feeling is dissected in public, choosing privacy is a radical act. It is a quiet rebellion against a culture that profits from exposure and feeds on vulnerability laid bare. To hold your personal life close is to reclaim your power from the eyes and ears of those who may not understand or respect your journey. Self-respect means setting boundaries that protect your mental and emotional well-being. It means recognizing that you do not owe anyone your story in full, nor are you obligated to explain every detail of your life. Your experiences, your choices, your pain, they belong first to you. And when you protect them, you are creating a safe harbor for your spirit to rest and renew. The respect you show yourself in guarding your privacy teaches others how to treat you. When you make clear the limits of what you share, people learn to honor your space without needing constant explanations. This act of self-respect becomes a model for relationships built on trust, kindness, and understanding. It invites genuine connection without the pressure of exposure. There is also a deeper truth. Your personal life is not a performance for others to judge or analyze. It is the soil from which your strength grows. When you protect it with privacy, you nurture that soil, allowing your roots to deepen away from the eyes that might seek to weaken or uproot you. You preserve your dignity and your peace by not letting your life become a spectacle or a topic for casual conversation. Choosing privacy is also an act of love toward yourself. It says, I am worthy of care beyond what is seen or heard. It guards your moments of vulnerability from becoming ammunition for those who do not wish you well. It holds space for your healing and your growth without the pressure to perform or explain. In this quiet protection, you find freedom, freedom to be whole, imperfect, and evolving without judgment. So let your decision to keep your personal life private be a declaration of your self-worth. It is not about shutting the world out, but about inviting only those who honor your spirit to step inside. Privacy is not hiding, it is loving yourself fiercely and wisely. In protecting your privacy, you protect your soul. There is a delicate beauty in keeping what is precious close to your heart. When you guard your personal life, you are tending a garden that belongs only to you, one that blooms in the quiet and thrives in care. The more you allow others to wander freely through the soil of your private world, the more you risk losing the richness that grows there. What you keep sacred is what remains untouched by judgment, free from the chaos of outside opinions, and safe from the careless footsteps of those who do not know how to treat it. Your personal life is the foundation of who you are, the roots that anchor your spirit deep in truth and resilience. When you expose it too freely, you give away your power to the winds of gossip, misunderstanding, and sometimes even betrayal. Not everyone who sees your struggles or hears your joys has the heart to hold them with gentleness. Some may trample your peace without meaning to, while others may do so with cruel intent. This is why what you keep sacred must be fiercely protected. Sacredness is not about secrecy or shame. It is about reverence. It is about understanding that your life contains treasures, your hopes, your dreams, your fears that deserve to be treated with respect. When you share your innermost self only with those who have earned your trust, you build a circle of safety around your soul. This circle becomes your sanctuary, a place where you can grow without fear, fall without humiliation, and rise without explanation. The world often encourages us to lay ourselves bare, to share every detail as proof of authenticity. But there is a different kind of authenticity that comes from knowing yourself well enough to choose what to reveal and what to keep close. This choice is an act of self-love. It is telling yourself, I am worthy of protection. My peace matters more than the approval of the many. When you honor this truth, you teach others how to honor you as well. Some things are meant to be whispered only to the night sky, kept in the quiet places where only your heart can hear your fears, your failures, your moments of weakness. These are not trophies for the world to see. They are seeds for your own healing, to be nurtured privately until they blossom into strength. When you keep them sacred, you give yourself the grace to heal on your own terms without the added weight of public scrutiny. So tend your personal garden with care. Let it bloom away from prying eyes and careless tongues. Protect your sacred space not out of fear, but out of love for yourself and your journey. What you keep sacred becomes your refuge and your power. Hold your sacred close, for in it lies your true strength. People come and go like seasons, changing in ways both gentle and fierce. Friends you once trusted may drift away. Loved ones may reveal sides you never expected, and strangers become voices in the background of your story. Through all these changes, your words remain. The promises you made, the stories you shared, the truths you revealed. They linger long after faces have faded. This is why it is so important to guard what you say about your personal life. Because once spoken, your words take on a life of their own. And you cannot call them back like a whispered prayer. Words are powerful. They build bridges and break them down. They heal wounds and deepen scars. When you share your personal life too freely, you risk giving away pieces of yourself to people whose loyalty is not guaranteed. People change, but your words do not. They float in the air, carried by mouths that may not understand your heart, passed along without the tenderness you intended. That is why your voice deserves to be protected. It is tempting to believe that openness brings connection, that every shared secret builds a stronger bond. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it opens doors to misunderstanding and judgment. Not every ear is ready to hear your truth, and not every heart is prepared to hold your pain with care. Some will listen to find fault or to gossip. Some will hold your words lightly, as if they were nothing more than passing clouds. This is not your fault, but it is a reality you must face if you want to protect your peace. Your life is not a script to be recited for others' approval. It is a sacred narrative that you alone control. When you choose carefully who you share with, you protect your spirit from the wounds of careless talk. You create a space where your words can be met with kindness, not cruelty. You allow your story to be told only by those who have earned your trust and respect. Change is inevitable, but the impact of your words is lasting. The way you guard your voice today will shape how your story is remembered tomorrow. When you speak with intention, when you share only what feels safe and true, you are honoring yourself and your journey. You are choosing to be the keeper of your own story rather than leaving it to the whims of others. So hold your words close, for they are part of you. Speak with care and share with those who have shown they can be trusted. People may change, but your words, once spoken, become part of the world. Protect them like you protect your peace. Guard your words well, for they carry the weight of your soul. There is a quiet power in mystery that many overlook because the world often demands to see, to know, to expose. But mystery holds a kind of magic. It is the space where your spirit breathes freely without the burden of explanation. When you choose to keep your personal life guarded, you invite mystery to live within you. And with it comes a strength that no one can take away. Mystery is not about hiding in fear. It is about honoring the depth of your being that cannot be captured in words or shared with just anyone. At a culture that prizes transparency, mystery can feel like a rebellion. It challenges the idea that we owe others all our truths, all our details. But true power does not come from being fully known by everyone. It comes from knowing yourself so deeply that you don't need constant validation from others. It comes from holding your life with reverence, allowing others to see only what you choose to reveal. This keeps your spirit whole and your peace intact. When you hold your personal life in mystery, you create boundaries that protect your energy. You keep the parts of you that are tender and fragile safe from prying eyes and careless words. You don't have to explain your every feeling or justify your every choice. Mystery allows you to move through the world with a quiet confidence because you know that what is unseen is still real, still valuable, and still yours alone. People are drawn to mystery because it invites curiosity without demand. It is the unspoken invitation to respect your space and your journey. Mystery doesn't need loud announcements or constant sharing. It speaks softly but carries a depth that commands respect. When you keep certain things private, you are telling the world that you are more than what meets the eye, that your story has layers that cannot be easily unpacked or understood. There is also freedom in mystery, freedom from judgment, from unsolicited advice, and from the pressure to perform your life for an audience. When your personal life remains partly a mystery, you are free to grow, change, and heal without external interference. You are free to be imperfect, to stumble, to rise again in your own time and in your own way. Mystery protects your inner world. It honors your complexity and your right to choose who gets to witness your truth. It is a shield and a sanctuary, allowing you to keep your sacred space safe. You do not owe the world the full story. You owe yourself the grace to keep some things sacred, some things silent, and some things beautifully mysterious. So embrace the power of mystery. Let it guard your peace and nurture your strength. In the quiet that mystery holds, you will find a well of resilience and grace that no one can take away. Allow your mystery to be your strength and your sanctuary. You don't owe anyone access to your inner world. This is a truth both simple and profound, a truth that many forget in the rush to please, to explain, to justify. Your personal life, your emotions, your struggles, they belong first and foremost to you. You are not obligated to lay them bare for others to inspect, analyze, or pass judgment on. There is a sacredness in holding your truth close, in choosing who steps inside the garden of your soul. It is easy to feel pressured by the world to be transparent, to share every detail as proof of authenticity or connection. But authenticity does not demand exposure. You can be genuine and still keep your heart guarded. You can be kind and open without surrendering your privacy. You can love deeply without handing over the map to your vulnerabilities. The choice to keep your personal life private is an act of self-care and self-respect, not a sign of weakness or shame. When you understand that you owe no one your inner world, you reclaim your power. You decide who deserves to know your story and when they deserve to hear it. You become the gatekeeper of your own soul, the protector of your peace. This is not about shutting people out. It is about creating space for yourself where you can heal, grow, and breathe without the weight of external expectations. There will always be voices that ask questions you do not wish to answer, that seek to know what you are not ready to share. It is okay to say no. It is okay to hold your silence as a shield. Those who truly care will understand that your boundaries are not walls, but invitations for respect and trust. They will honor your right to privacy as a gift, not a rejection. This freedom to choose what you share and what you keep to yourself is a form of liberation. It frees you from the need to perform your life for others, from the fear of judgment, and from the exhaustion of constant explanation. It allows you to live on your own terms, guided by your own rhythm, your own truth. Remember, your personal life is not a public commodity. It is a sacred space that deserves protection. When you keep it private, you preserve your dignity and your strength. You create a sanctuary where your spirit can rest and renew. You choose peace over approval, self-love over validation. So hold tight to the knowledge that you owe no one your inner world. Guard it with the fierce love it deserves. Share it only with those who have earned the privilege and will cherish it as you do. Your inner world is yours alone. Protect it fiercely and lovingly. To the world that often asks us to lay ourselves bare, remember that your personal life is a sacred treasure meant to be guarded with wisdom and love. Protecting your peace, choosing your words carefully, and embracing the strength found in privacy are acts of courage and self-respect. Let your silence be your sanctuary and your mystery a source of power. May you walk your path with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth and honors their soul. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for allowing me to share these thoughts with you.
Good morning. There is a whisper in the world that tells us to wait for the right time, the right opportunity, the right miracle. But let me tell you something. Miracles don't wait, and neither should you. You see, too many people sit still, hoping life will change on its own. They wait for luck to knock on their door, for a dream to fall into their hands, for someone else to rescue them from their struggles. But the truth is, the only person who can truly change your life is you. The power you seek isn't hidden in the stars or locked away in fate. It is inside you, right now. You don't need permission to chase your dreams. You don't need a miracle. You need action. Life is not always kind. It will challenge you, shake you, and at times try to break you. Every obstacle you overcome becomes part of your victory. And every small step forward is a step away from the life you no longer want and closer to the one you deserve. Don't wait for someone to open doors for you. Build your own door. Don't wait for confidence. Take the first step scared. Don't wait for a sign. You are the sign. Too often people fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, or a sign that tells them it's time to begin. They say, I'll start when I have more money, or I'll chase my dream when the time is right. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is only now. Every second you wait is a second you can never get back. Think about all the dreams left unfulfilled, all the goals abandoned, simply because someone was waiting for something external to push them forward. But life doesn't work that way. No one is coming to hand you success on a silver platter. No one is going to build your future for you. If you want something, you have to go out and take it. Action is the key that unlocks progress. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the answers. It doesn't matter if you're not fully prepared. What matters is that you start. The greatest achievements in history weren't made by those who sat back and hoped. They were made by those who stepped forward despite fear and uncertainty. Waiting breeds doubt. The longer you wait, the more you convince yourself that you're not ready, that it's not possible, that maybe it's better to settle where you are. But when you take action, even the smallest step, you build momentum. Action fuels confidence. Action creates opportunity. There will always be challenges. There will always be reasons to delay. But successful people don't let obstacles stop them. They find ways to move forward. They adapt, they learn, they push through. And that is exactly what you must do. If you're waiting for a sign, this is it. If you're waiting for the right time, the time is now. If you're waiting for someone to give you permission, you don't need it. Take control. Take the risk. Take action. Because your future is not something you wait for, it's something you create. Belief is the foundation of everything you will ever accomplish in life. If you don't believe in yourself, who will? Too often people give up on their dreams not because they lack skill, talent, or intelligence, but because they lack confidence. They listen to the voices, both internal and external, that tell them they're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. But here's the truth. You are more capable than you realize, and the only thing standing between you and your success is your own belief. Every great leader, every artist, every inventor, and every champion started as someone who simply believed they could achieve something bigger than themselves. They faced doubts, they faced failure, they faced rejection. But through it all, they held on to one unshakable truth. They were capable. You must carry that same belief within you. You must remind yourself every single day that you have everything you need to take the next step. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to trust that you are enough right now as you are. There will always be people who doubt you. There will always be critics, skeptics, and even well-meaning friends or family who tell you to be realistic, to play it safe, to settle for less. But their doubts are not your truth. What they believe about you does not define you. Only you get to decide who you are and what you're capable of. The world will try to shake your confidence. It will test you with failures, setbacks, and disappointments. But don't let those moments define you. Let them strengthen you. Let them be proof that you are willing to fight for yourself, that you are resilient, that you will not give up on your dreams just because the road is difficult. Success starts in your mind. The way you speak to yourself matters. The way you see yourself matters. When you start believing in yourself, the world will have no choice but to believe in you too. So, stand tall, speak with confidence, chase your dreams with courage, and when doubt creeps in, silence it with action, because the only limit to what you can achieve is the one you place on yourself. Life is not meant to be easy. If it were, there would be no growth, no strength, no stories of triumph. Every person who has ever achieved something great has done so not by avoiding challenges, but by embracing them. Challenges are not roadblocks. They are stepping stones. Every difficulty you face is an opportunity to learn, to improve, and to become stronger than you were yesterday. Yet so many people fear struggle. They shy away from hardship, hoping for an easy path, a smooth journey. But ease does not build character, struggle does. Think about the people who inspire you. Leaders, athletes, innovators, or even the strongest people in your own life. What do they all have in common? They didn't quit when things got hard. They didn't see obstacles as signs to stop. They saw them as chances to rise. They faced rejection, failure, and hardship. But instead of running away, they met their challenges head on. Every challenge carries a lesson. If you fail, you learn resilience. If you struggle, you learn patience. If you fall, you learn how to stand up stronger. The moments that test you the most are the ones that shape you into the person you are meant to become. Without challenges, there is no growth. But here's the key. You must change the way you see difficulty. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of thinking, "This is too hard," remind yourself, "I am capable of overcoming this." You were not put on this earth to live a life free of struggle. You were put here to rise above it. Every challenge you embrace makes you stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what's next. And the more you face, the more unstoppable you become. So when the road gets tough, when you feel like giving up, when the weight of the world feels too heavy, remember, this is your moment to grow. Take a deep breath, stand tall, and keep moving forward. Because the greatest rewards in life do not go to those who avoid challenges, but to those who embrace them. Hope is a beautiful thing. It can lift our spirits in dark times, give us a reason to keep going, and remind us that better days are possible. But hope alone is not enough. Wishing for something will not make it happen. Dreaming of success will not bring success. You must put in the work. Too many people sit on the sidelines of life, hoping for change but never taking action. They hope for a better job but don't apply. They hope to get in shape but don't exercise. They hope to write a book but never pick up the pen. Hope without action is just a wish, and wishes don't build dreams. Work does. The world is filled with talented people who never reached their potential. Not because they lacked intelligence or ability, but because they relied too much on hope and not enough on effort. Meanwhile, there are people with fewer advantages who rise to greatness simply because they refuse to be outworked. Hard work is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your circumstances are, or what obstacles stand in your way. If you are willing to put in the effort, you can achieve incredible things. It might take longer than expected. It might be harder than you thought. But the results will come to those who show up, stay consistent, and never stop pushing forward. Think about the most successful people in the world. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders. They didn't get there by sitting around and hoping for success. They worked when no one was watching. They practiced when they were tired. They studied when others were resting. They failed, learned, and tried again. Hard work separates those who merely want success from those who actually achieve it. It is the extra hours, the discipline, and the willingness to keep going when things get tough that truly make the difference. Hope should fuel your ambition, but action is what turns dreams into reality. So don't just hope for a better future, work for it. Don't just dream of success, create it. Because at the end of the day, your effort will determine your outcome, not your wishes. In a world that often celebrates power, wealth, and success, two qualities stand above them all: kindness and resilience. These are the traits that define true strength, the qualities that separate those who simply survive from those who truly make an impact. Many people mistake kindness for weakness. They assume that being kind means being passive, letting others take advantage of you, or not standing up for yourself. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Kindness is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It takes strength to show kindness when you are hurt. It takes courage to offer help when no one is watching. It takes wisdom to understand that lifting others up does not mean lowering yourself. The greatest leaders, the most influential figures in history, were not just intelligent or ambitious. They were compassionate. They understood that how you treat others defines the legacy you leave behind. Kindness has a ripple effect. One small act of generosity, a simple word of encouragement, a moment of empathy, these things can change someone's life. And in return, they change yours. You never know the battle someone else is facing. A little kindness could be the difference between someone giving up and someone finding the strength to keep going. But kindness is not just about how we treat others. It's also about how we treat ourselves. Too often, we are our own worst critics. We beat ourselves up for our mistakes, doubt our own worth, and refuse to give ourselves grace. But self-kindness is just as important as kindness toward others. Treat yourself with patience. Forgive yourself for past failures. Speak to yourself for the same compassion you would offer a friend. Life is unpredictable. You will face obstacles, disappointments, and heartbreak. There will be days when you feel like giving up, when the weight of the world seems too heavy to carry. But resilience is what allows you to stand back up again and again. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about enduring it and coming out stronger. It's about learning from failure instead of being defeated by it. It's about refusing to let challenges break you. Every successful person, every strong individual you admire, has faced struggles. What makes them different is their decision to keep going. When life knocks you down, you have two choices: stay down or rise. Resilience is choosing to rise. It is believing that no setback is permanent, no failure defines you, and no hardship is greater than your ability to overcome it. When combined, kindness and resilience create an unstoppable force. Kindness makes the world better, while resilience keeps you moving forward despite the obstacles. Together they build a life of strength, purpose, and meaning. So be kind, not because the world always deserves it, but because kindness is a reflection of your own character. Be resilient, not because life is easy, but because your ability to rise will determine your success. And above all, never forget that these two qualities, kindness and resilience, will take you further than talent, luck, or even intelligence ever could. The world doesn't just need more successful people, it needs more kind and resilient people. Be one of them. There is a dangerous lie that too many people believe, the lie that they have plenty of time to start chasing their dreams, to take action, to build the life they truly want. They tell themselves, I'll do it someday. But someday is not a day on the calendar. It's an excuse. It's a delay. It's a way of pushing your dreams further and further into the future until one day you wake up and realize that the opportunity is gone. Your time is not someday. Your time is now. Too many people wait. They wait for the right moment, the perfect conditions, the feeling of certainty before they take action. They wait until they have more money, more confidence, more knowledge, more support. But here's the truth. There will never be a perfect moment. If you are waiting for everything to fall into place before you start, you will be waiting forever. Life will always be messy. You will never feel fully ready. And that's okay. The most successful people in the world did not start when they felt prepared. They started despite their doubts, despite their fears, despite their uncertainties. Action creates readiness. You don't need to be ready to start. You need to start to become ready. Think about how much time has already passed while you've been waiting for the right moment. Think about the dreams you put on hold, the opportunities you let slip away, the ideas you never acted on. How much further could you be today if you had started yesterday? Time is the one thing you can never get back. Money, opportunities, relationships, these things come and go. But time, once it's gone forever. Every day you wait is a day you can never reclaim. One of the biggest reasons people delay taking action is because they want everything to be perfect. They want to be fully prepared before they take the leap. But perfection is an illusion. It does not exist. If you wait until you have the perfect plan, the perfect skills, the perfect circumstances, you will never begin. Instead of striving for perfection, strive for progress. Take the first step, even if it's small. Move forward, even if you don't have all the answers. You will learn along the way. You will grow as you go. The life you want is not created in the future. It is created right now, in this moment. The actions you take today determine the opportunities you have tomorrow. Every great achievement begins with a single step. Don't wait for motivation. It comes after you start, not before. Don't wait for permission. You don't need it. Don't wait for the fear to disappear. It won't. Move forward despite the fear, because your time is not later, your time is now. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be rich, talented, or an expert to begin. You just need to start with what you have, where you are, right now. If you want to write a book, start with 1 page today. If you want to get in shape, do 10 minutes of exercise today. If you want to start a business, take 1 step today. 1 step today leads to another tomorrow, and before you know it, you'll be miles ahead of where you started. Not next year, not next month, not when things feel easier, when life is more convenient. Now. Stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop postponing your dreams. You have everything you need to begin. The world is waiting for you to take action, to step into your potential, to become the person you were meant to be. Your time is now. Make it count. Life does not wait for anyone. It does not pause while you gather courage, nor does it slow down while you wait for the perfect moment. Your time is now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not someday, right now. Do not wait for miracles, be the miracle. Do not hope for success, work for it. Believe in yourself, even when others doubt you. Embrace challenges, for they are the path to growth. Be kind, not just to others, but to yourself. And let resilience be your armor in the face of adversity. Remember, dreams are not built on wishes. They are built on hard work, persistence, and unwavering belief. The greatest achievements in history were made by those who took action despite fear, who moved forward despite uncertainty, who refused to let obstacles define them. So take the first step, even if it's small, even if it's uncertain, even if it scares you, because 1 step leads to another, and before you know it, you will have traveled farther than you ever imagined. You are capable. You are strong. You are ready. Your time is now. Go make it happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no greater freedom than the freedom of the mind, and there is no richer treasure than the treasure of understanding. Every day you wake up, you are given a sacred invitation, an invitation to grow, to rise beyond what you knew yesterday, to stretch your thinking like sunlight stretches across the land, to read a line, to ask a question, to seek and to know. That is the quiet call of wisdom, and it waits for no applause. We were not placed in this world to simply survive it. We were placed here to learn it, to study its rhythm, to recognize its patterns, and to grow from its pain. You are not meant to be stagnant. You are not a stone buried in the ground. You are a living soul with a mind that can blossom like a flower in the spring, if only you will water it with learning. The books you leave on the shelf, the ideas you leave unspoken, the questions you pushed aside, those are lost pieces of yourself calling to be found. Learning daily is a commitment to your future self, not just a habit, but a promise. It is a quiet agreement between who you are today and who you are becoming. When you decide to educate yourself every day, you're not just collecting facts or memorizing lines. You're honoring the person you were born to be. You are saying to yourself, I will not stay still when I can move forward. I will not remain in the dark when I have the power to seek light. We often talk about goals and dreams, about where we want to be, about the lives we wish to live. But none of those things are built overnight. They are carved out of small, consistent actions. The dream is not a faraway mountain. It is the stairway you build by rising and learning, one step at a time. Every piece of knowledge you gain becomes a brick in that staircase. Every lesson learned becomes the ground beneath your feet. To educate yourself every day is to feed your mind, just as you feed your body. You would not starve your body for days and expect it to move strong and steady. In the same way, your mind needs nourishment, ideas, challenges, inspiration, reflection. When you give that to yourself, you create a future that is sturdy, thoughtful, and wise. You give yourself the strength to face setbacks with understanding and to meet opportunities with readiness. No one can do this for you. People can teach you, yes, and people can guide you, but the decision to seek knowledge, to expand your thinking, to ask the hard questions, that decision must come from within. It must be a sacred act of self-respect, and when you make it every day, it shows. It shows in your confidence, it shows in your calmness, it shows in the way you carry yourself in a world that often moves too fast and says too little that matters. You may not always see the results right away. Sometimes you'll read something and feel no difference. Sometimes you'll listen and not immediately understand. But do not let that discourage you. Learning is not always loud. Growth is not always visible. Like seeds planted in the soil, the most powerful changes often happen underground, in silence, before they break through into the light. You will find that the more you educate yourself, the more you want to learn. Knowledge is a fire that feeds itself. It opens doors you didn't even know were there. It gives you the ability to see the world not only for what it is, but for what it could be. You begin to question things you once accepted. You begin to see solutions where you once saw problems. You begin to trust yourself because you know you are preparing, you are growing, you are evolving. And through it all, you build something far greater than intelligence. You build character. You build resilience. You build a kind of presence that doesn't need to shout because it speaks through quiet certainty. You become someone your future self will thank, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger, wiser, more aware. So keep that promise. Honor that commitment. Educate yourself today and every day, because when you do, you shape a life that is rooted in purpose and crowned in understanding. Each day you choose to grow. You rise beyond yesterday's limitations. Life is constantly unfolding, and with every sunrise comes the opportunity to stretch beyond who you were. You may not notice it at first, but every bit of learning, every new perspective, every honest reflection adds something to you. It clears the fog. It loosens the grip of old beliefs. It takes what once felt like a wall and reveals it to be nothing more than a doorway waiting for you to walk through. When you choose to educate yourself, you are no longer living by accident. You are living on purpose. You are not drifting with the tides of opinion or waiting for someone to tell you how to think. Instead, you become an architect of your own becoming. You question more. You listen deeper. You don't settle for what you already know because you understand that yesterday's wisdom may not be enough for today's challenges. Growth is not always comfortable. It can shake you. It can make you doubt. It often asks you to let go of what feels familiar in exchange for what is true. But that discomfort is a sign of movement. That tension means you're learning. And learning, real learning, doesn't just fill your mind. It breaks open the cages around it. You begin to unlearn things that held you back. You start to see yourself not through the eyes of limitation, but through the eyes of potential. When you educate yourself every day, you give yourself permission to evolve. You stop waiting for someone else to lead you to change. You understand that you are already equipped with the power to change yourself. That power lives in your curiosity and your willingness to learn and in your refusal to remain the same. And the beauty of it is the more you grow, the more space you make for others to grow too. Your life becomes a reflection for someone else's path. Your strength becomes a quiet invitation to those still unsure of their own. There will be days when growth feels slow. There will be times when learning feels hard, when nothing seems to click, but do not give up. Keep going, even when it's quiet, even when it's messy, because every step forward, no matter how small, is still a step forward. Even falling teaches you something. Even failing, when met with honesty, becomes a lesson you carry into tomorrow. You are not bound by what you didn't know yesterday. You are not trapped by past mistakes or old mindsets. With each new day, you are handed the key to a new door. And when you choose to learn, when you choose to grow, you turn that key and walk into the more capable, more grounded, more informed version of yourself. That is how transformation happens, not in grand declarations, but in small, steady acts of learning. It is not perfection you seek, but progress. It is not about having all the answers, but about refusing to stop asking the questions. So don't wait, don't hold back. Use this day to rise a little higher than the day before. Use this moment to feed your mind, stretch your heart, and widen your understanding. Let today's growth be your quiet revolution. Let it speak not just to your future, but to your soul. Keep rising, because there is always more of you to become. Self-education turns ordinary moments into stepping stones for greatness. It is not confined to books or lectures or degrees. It is in the way you listen to a conversation, in the questions you dare to ask, in the silence where your thoughts begin to sharpen. Life is not waiting for you in a classroom. It's unfolding right in front of you. Every day, in moments so small they're often overlooked. But the person who chooses to learn will see them, and in seeing them will rise. There is a quiet beauty in taking a simple day and making it meaningful. You could be on your way to work, walking through a crowded street or sipping tea at home, and still you can be learning. Still you can be growing. Because self-education does not ask for a perfect environment. It only asks for a willing mind. A mind that says, let me understand this a little deeper. Let me see what others do not. That is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary. That is how moments become meaningful. When you decide to educate yourself, you stop depending on the world to hand you knowledge. You stop waiting for the perfect teacher, the ideal setting, the right time. You realize that the world itself is your teacher. Every mistake is a lesson. Every hardship is a test. Every joy is a chance to reflect. And the more you embrace this way of learning, the more you begin to rise, not in noise, but in knowing. You grow without needing validation. You evolve without needing permission. Greatness doesn't always come with fanfare. It builds in the shadows, in those small daily decisions to think a little more, ask a little more, and understand a little more. When you choose to read instead of scroll, to reflect instead of react, to listen instead of interrupt, you are not just becoming smarter, you are becoming deeper. You are creating a mind that is grounded, a heart that is open, and a spirit that is resilient. Self-education also brings a kind of independence that no one can take from you. It frees you from relying on others to tell you what to believe, how to think, or who to be. It sharpens your discernment and gives you the tools to build a life based on truth, not noise. And in a world that often rewards surface-level thinking, being someone who studies deeply, who learns intentionally, who reflects constantly, that is powerful. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your past looks like, or what resources you have. The door to growth is always open to the one who is willing to walk through it. And every day you choose to educate yourself, you are stepping through that door. You are saying, my life matters enough for me to invest in my own mind. You are proving that greatness is not gifted, it is grown. What you feed your mind today will shape your decisions tomorrow. What you learn today will guide how you respond, how you lead, how you love. So let your ordinary days be filled with extraordinary intention. Let every moment count, not because the world is watching, but because you are becoming. Keep choosing to learn, even when it's quiet, even when no one claps, because those small steps forward, they are taking you somewhere beautiful. The mind, fed with knowledge, becomes a light in places where others see darkness. There is something remarkable about what learning can do to the soul. It opens the windows of your thoughts. It sharpens your inner voice, and it shows you paths that once looked invisible. When you make it your mission to educate yourself every day, you begin to carry a light within you, a quiet clarity that no chaos can dim. You start to see patterns others miss, hear meaning in words others overlook, and understand truths buried beneath the noise. This world is full of confusion. People move fast, they speak loud, and in the rush, many fall into the habit of reacting instead of reflecting. But the one who learns, who reads, who listens deeply and questions honestly, carries a different presence. They do not follow the crowd blindly. They do not jump at the first spark of fear. They pause, they think, and they see with wisdom, because their mind is lit from within, not swayed by the shadows around them. To feed your mind is not just about facts and information. It's about cultivating insight. It's about building the kind of understanding that sees beyond the surface. And that kind of light, that quiet inner knowing, is not something anyone can hand to you. You must earn it. You must work for it daily. You must wake up and ask yourself, what can I learn today that will help me see more clearly? Then go and find it in a book, in a conversation, in a moment of stillness, and as you collect those pieces of knowledge, they begin to shine through your actions. You speak with more care, you listen with more patience. You begin to respond, not with impulse, but with intention. And that is the difference between being led by life and leading your life. Education gives you that power, not just to think better, but to live better. It gives you the ability to bring wisdom into situations filled with noise, to bring calm where there is confusion, to bring direction where there is doubt. You don't need to be the loudest in the room to be heard. You just need to speak from a place of understanding. And when you educate yourself daily, that understanding becomes a part of you. It's not forced. It doesn't need approval. It simply is. It's in the way you carry yourself, in the way you move through difficulty, in the way you notice what others pass by. There's no final destination in learning, no moment where you arrive and say, I know enough now. It is a lifelong journey. And each day is a chance to brighten your own path and the paths of others. And the more you feed your mind, the more capable you become of navigating both the light and the dark. Because knowledge, when shaped by wisdom, becomes your guide. So never underestimate the power of what you feed your mind. What you take in becomes what you give out. And when you fill yourself with learning, with thought, with truth, you become the light that helps others find their way too. Keep learning and let your mind shine. You don't need a classroom to become wise, only the courage to stay curious. Wisdom does not wait behind the walls of an institution. It does not require uniforms, schedules, or degrees. It lives in the eyes of those who keep asking, who keep searching, who keep wondering what more there is to understand. You could be in the middle of a quiet village, on a crowded street, or sitting alone in your room. If you carry curiosity in your heart, the world becomes your teacher. There is something powerful about knowing you are never finished growing. That even when you leave school, learning never ends. That your mind is still fertile ground, still able to sprout new ideas, still capable of change. But it takes courage to keep that fire alive. Courage to admit you don't know. Courage to ask questions that others are afraid to ask. Courage to stay open, even when the answers are uncomfortable. Curiosity is not weakness. It is the beginning of all wisdom. When you educate yourself every day, you are not chasing titles. You are feeding the soul. You are building understanding one layer at a time. And it doesn't always come with applause. Most of your learning will happen when no one's watching. When you choose to read instead of scroll. When you pause to reflect instead of rushing ahead. When you ask yourself why you believe what you believe. These moments may seem small, but they shape you. They teach you how to think, how to feel, and how to respond to a world that is constantly changing. The classroom of life is everywhere. A story overheard on a bus, a line in a book that stirs something deep, a question asked by a child. These are the lessons that shape you, not with grades or tests, but with awareness and understanding. And when you stop waiting for permission to learn, when you realize you can grow right here, right now with what you have, you begin to see just how powerful self-education can be. You might stumble, you might misunderstand, you might read the same thing twice and still not get it. But that doesn't mean you failed. It means you're in it. It means you're willing. And that willingness is rare. Most people stop learning because they believe they've learned enough. But the truly wise know better. They know that knowledge is endless and truth often hides behind many layers. They are not satisfied with just knowing. They want to understand. And when you begin to understand, your life begins to change. Not in loud ways, but in quiet ones. You respond with more thought. You speak with more care. You see people not as threats, but as mirrors. You start to notice beauty in places you once ignored, all because you kept learning, all because you stayed curious. So do not wait for the perfect teacher or the perfect place. Do not wait for someone to tell you it's time to grow. That time is now. The door is already open, and all you have to do is walk through it with a heart that is willing to learn. a mind that is ready to expand, and a spirit that refuses to remain unchanged. Keep learning. Your wisdom is waiting. Daily learning is the silent revolution that transforms your life from within. It does not come with loud celebrations or sudden changes. It begins quietly, almost invisibly, in the choices you make each day. Choosing to listen instead of assuming, choosing to read something new instead of reaching for the familiar, choosing to reflect instead of react. They whisper, but over time, those whispers become a voice, and that voice begins to guide your decisions, your direction, your very identity. Transformation rarely arrives all at once. It is built in layers, one lesson at a time. When you make learning a daily practice, you plant seeds that grow into something strong, something steady, something meaningful. It does not matter if the world notices right away. What matters is that you are changing, not just what you know, but how you think, not just how you speak, but what you believe. Your values become clearer, your purpose becomes stronger, and slowly the person you were yesterday gives way to the person you are becoming. We often think change must be dramatic, that we need to wait for the perfect moment, the right motivation, the big break. But the truth is, lasting transformation begins in the quiet, in the day you choose to learn when you could have ignored, in the moment you challenge an old belief, in the decision to grow even when no one is watching. That is where the real revolution happens, inside you. Every time you educate yourself, you are doing something powerful. You are saying to yourself, I'm not finished yet. There's still more for me to become. You are breaking free from the limitations placed on you by others, by your past, by your own fears. You are reclaiming your voice, your vision, your worth. And you are doing it one idea, one insight, one new understanding at a time. This kind of change is not rushed. It does not beg for approval. It moves at its own pace, deep and lasting, and it creates a foundation you can stand on no matter what comes your way. Because when your mind is strong, when your understanding is deep, the world cannot shake you so easily. You begin to see clearly even in chaos. You begin to trust your own voice even in confusion. That is the power of daily learning. It becomes your quiet armor. You do not need an audience to become better. You do not need a crowd to evolve. You only need consistency, commitment, and the belief that who you are today is not the final version of you. There is always more to learn, always more to refine, always more to discover. The moment you stop learning, you stop expanding. But when you keep learning, you keep rising, not just in knowledge, but in presence, in peace, in power. So take this day and make it count, not by doing something loud, but by doing something real. Feed your mind, stretch your thoughts, question what no longer serves you. Teach yourself something new and let that knowledge move through you, changing how you see, how you think, and how you live. Because that is where transformation begins. Not outside, but within. Every day is a chance to become more than we were yesterday. When you choose to educate yourself daily, you are not only gathering knowledge, you are building character, sharpening your vision, and shaping a life rooted in purpose. You are turning ordinary moments into powerful steps forward. You are lighting your own path and becoming a light for others. This journey of learning is not always easy, not always loud, but it is always worth it. So stay curious, stay committed, and never stop growing. The world needs the wisdom you are becoming. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let me tell you something that the wind already knows and the trees have been whispering for ages. You don't grow strong by pretending the storm never shook you. You don't become whole by hiding the broken parts. There is beauty in the bent back that straightens. There is power in the trembling voice that speaks truth anyway. There comes a time when you must stop patching up the cracks and start learning how to live with them. We are not meant to walk through this world polished and perfect. We are meant to be real. We are meant to be raw. We are meant to stumble and scrape and fall down on our knees with the weight of being human. And then, if we're lucky, we rise. Not in spite of our fault, but because of it. I have seen people hold their breath for years just to keep from crying out. But darling, tears are not weakness. Tears are truth trying to find its way out. If your heart aches, let it ache. If you feel small, say so. There is nothing shameful in being broken. What's shameful is wearing a mask so long that you forget the face beneath it. We live in a world that tells us to be strong, to be unshakable, to stand tall and keep it all together. But what the world forgets is that real strength has nothing to do with silence. Real strength is shaking in your shoes and walking forward anyway. Real strength is standing up with your scars showing. It is saying, here I am, with my faults, with my fears, with my trembling hands and open heart. You are not less for your pain. You are not weak for your longing. You are not unworthy because you carry sorrow in your chest. You are more. You are becoming. You are blooming right there in the middle of the dark. So stop shrinking. Stop hiding the pieces that do not sparkle. There is a rhythm in your flaws. There is music in your missteps. There is a holy fire in your vulnerability. Do not chase perfection. Chase honesty, chase growth, chase peace. And when you find the courage to say, I hurt, I failed, I am afraid, you invite others to breathe, to let your truth be your triumph, let your pain be your poem. And when you fall again, as we all do, reach out your hand with no shame. Somebody is waiting there with their own trembling hand ready to hold yours. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You only have to be real. Your faults are not flaws, they are fingerprints of your becoming. It is easy to forget that in a world that demands polish, that praises the finished product and hides the making, we are taught early to clean up our messes quickly, to smooth our edges, to say only what is safe, to be only what is acceptable. But there is a quiet lie tucked inside all that pretending. And it whispers that we are only worthy when we are perfect. That lie is heavy. It burdens the soul. And worse, it makes us forget that it is in our stumbles and scrapes and messes that we are actually becoming something true. There is a kind of dignity in error that no easy success can ever touch. The times you miss the mark, the days you falter, the nights you lie awake, wondering what went wrong. Those moments are not stains. They are the very ink that writes the story of you. Not the you that pleases everyone, but the you that is brave enough to keep showing up. The you that gets it wrong and still tries again. The you that says, I may be cracked, but I am not broken. I may be tired, but I am still reaching. There is a kind of dignity in error that no easy success can ever touch. The times you miss the mark, the days you falter, the nights you lie awake wondering what went wrong, those moments are not stains. They are the very ink that writes the story of you. Not the you that pleases everyone, but the you that is brave enough to keep showing up. The you that gets it wrong and still tries again. The you that says, I may be cracked, but I am not broken. I may be tired, but I am still reaching. When we stop running from our faults, we start learning from them. We begin to see that they are not random or shameful, but necessary. They shape our character. They deepen our empathy. They teach us grace, both the giving and receiving of it. And in that grace, we stop clenching our fists around who we think we should be and start opening our hands to who we actually are. You were never meant to be spotless. You were meant to be seen. The people who love you deeply don't love you because you've never failed. They love you because they've watched you try, watched you fall, watched you keep going. They see the beauty in your effort. They see the sacred in your honesty. They do not need you to be perfect, only present, only open. When you embrace your fault instead of covering it, you give others permission to breathe around you. You say to them, I am not here to impress you. I am here to walk with you. That kind of authenticity changes the atmosphere. It melts walls. It opens hearts. It heals wounds that fake strength could never touch. Because there is something holy in a soul that says, this is where I failed, but I am still worthy. This is where I hurt, but I still choose to love. This is where I'm learning, and I'm not ashamed of the lesson. Every scar you carry is a testimony that you did not give up. Every regret holds a lesson if you're brave enough to look it in the eye. And every piece of you that you once wanted to hide may become the exact piece someone else needs to see so they know they're not alone. You are not your mistakes. You are the one who grew through them. And every mark you bear is proof that you are not static, you are not stuck. You are in motion, always in motion, toward a fuller, freer self. That self does not rise on the wings of perfection. That self is lifted by truth, carried by compassion, and lit by the fire of vulnerability. So hold your faults like a story worth telling, not ashamed to be silenced. They are not stains, they are signs. Signs that you are still unfolding, still trying, still alive. And that is more than enough. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is the doorway to deeper strength. Somewhere along the way, we were taught to hide the parts of ourselves that shake. We were told to lock away the soft spots, the places that ache, the questions we don't have answers for. We put on faces that don't match our feelings, and we smile when we want to scream. And yet, beneath all the pretending, we ache to be seen. Not just in our glory, but in our growing. Not just in our triumph, but in our trembling. It takes a rare kind of strength to tell the truth about how you feel, to admit that you are scared, to confess that something hurt, to say without shame that you are not okay today. That kind of courage does not roar. It does not always stand tall. Sometimes it barely whispers, but it is brave just the same. Because vulnerability is the moment you step into the light with nothing but your real self. It is when you take off the armor, even while your voice quivers. That is not weakness. That is the purest kind of strength. Strength is not the absence of struggle. Strength is the decision to keep going while carrying the weight of your fears. We get it backwards. We think the strong ones are the ones who never cry, never doubt, never lose their balance. But the strongest ones are often the ones with tears in their eyes and steady hands. the ones who have lost and learned and still love anyway, the ones who walk through the day with broken pieces and still manage to be kind. There is nothing soft about that. There is nothing small about that. To be vulnerable is to be alive, fully, deeply. It means you are not numb. It means you are connected. You feel things. You risk things. You open the door for love to reach you, even if loss might follow. And what is life if not a dance between joy and sorrow, hope and heartache? You cannot numb one without numbing the other. So you learn to sit with your ache and still reach for joy. You learn to be open even when you've been hurt. You learn to be open even when you've been hurt. You learn to tell the truth about your fears and still rise with them in your chest. You do not have to wear strength like a shield. Sometimes strength is sitting in the quiet and letting yourself feel. Sometimes it is asking for help. Sometimes it is admitting that you do not have it all figured out and you need a hand to hold. None of that makes you fragile. It makes you real. And realness is what the world needs more of. Not the masks, not the roles, but the hearts underneath. The ones that beat steady and loud with all their hope and all their fear tangled up together. There is power in saying, I need time. There is wisdom in saying, I don't know. There is grace in saying, this hurts. When you speak from that place, you create space. You break the silence others are trapped in. You give them a way forward too. Vulnerability doesn't just make you stronger. It strengthens connection. It invites healing. It reminds people that they are not the only ones who bleed beneath the surface. Your softness is not your shame. It is your superpower. Because in your softness, there is truth. In your softness, there is space for others to rest. There is room for light to pour in. You were not made to walk this life untouched. You were made to feel deeply, to open yourself even when it costs you. And that opening, that raw, tender honesty is what will carry you through the hard days. Let your voice shake. Let your hands tremble. Let your guard down, if only for a moment. In that moment, you are more than enough. Because you are showing up. Because you are staying present. Because you are choosing to feel. That is where the real strength lives. Not in the hiding, but in the revealing. And when you do that, when you let yourself be seen without the shields, you may just find that what you thought would break you is the very thing that makes you whole. Hiding your cracks only dims your light. Let them shine through. The world may have convinced you that brokenness is something to be ashamed of, that the cracks in your spirit, the slips in your past, the hurts in your heart are blemishes best kept hidden. You learn early to tuck your pain behind your back, to smile when it hurts, to cover up the struggle with silence. But in all that hiding, something sacred gets buried. The light you were meant to shine begins to flicker, not because it is gone, but because you've covered it with too much fear. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be honest. And your cracks, those places that have been stretched and tested and torn, they are not there to shame you. They are there to show the world where the light got in and where it now shines out. You can pretend to be whole all you want, but there is something about true, lived through pain that gives a deeper glow. Something about walking through fire and still choosing love. Something about admitting, yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've failed. But I am still here. And I'm still trying. Every scar tells a story, not a story of weakness, but of endurance, not of defeat, but of return. The most powerful people you will ever meet are not the ones who seem untouched by trouble. They are the ones who wear their pain like a badge, not with pride, but with peace, because they have stopped fighting who they are. They have stopped pretending the journey was smooth. And in that surrender, their light grows stronger. Do not let the fear of judgment rob the world of your truth. Your story in all its mess and mystery might be the very thing someone else needs to hear. Your tears might water the courage in another soul. But if you keep hiding the cracks, no one will know how you survived. No one will know that healing is possible, that it is okay to fall apart and still be worthy of love, that it is okay to walk with a limp and still move forward with grace. Let the light come through the places you thought disqualified you. Let it shine from the moments you thought were too dark to speak of. When you stop hiding, you give your spirit room to breathe. You no longer have to carry the burden of pretending. You can rest, you can be. And in that being, you make room for transformation. Some people will not understand. Some may even walk away when you let your truth rise to the surface. Let them go. The people meant for you are not drawn to your mask. They are drawn to your soul. They are drawn to the way you stand in your brokenness and still reach for hope. The way you cry and still choose joy. The way you fall and still rise, not with bitterness, but with more tenderness than before. You don't have to be polished to be powerful. You don't have to be flawless to be radiant. Your vulnerability does not dim your brilliance. It deepens it. It adds layers. It adds depth. It turns your life into a canvas with shadows and light coexisting, telling a story that no perfection ever could. So speak from your cracks. Love from your cracks. Build from your cracks. You are not a shattered thing. You are a mosaic, made from broken pieces, yes, but put together by hands that know exactly what they're doing. You are not less because you have been through something. You are more alive, more grounded, more able to see clearly what really matters and what never did. Your cracks are not your failure. They are proof that you have lived, that you have felt, that you have risked enough to be wounded and strong enough to begin again. That kind of light, the one that comes from truth, from softness, from survival, is the kind that cannot be dimmed. Let it shine. Growth begins the moment you stop performing perfection. As long as you are trying to be someone you're not, you block yourself from becoming who you truly are. You spend so much time fixing your face, rehearsing your lines, building a version of yourself that's easy to applaud but impossible to sustain. You move through rooms smiling when your heart is tired, nodding when your soul wants to scream, pretending to float while quietly drowning. And somehow, even when you do it all right, even when the mask stays in place, something still feels empty. That's because pretending is not living, it's surviving. We are not here to be a perfect image of anything. We are not here to meet every expectation or wear every role the world offers us. We are here to grow, and growth does not happen in perfection. Growth happens in the places where the mask slips, in the moments when we say the wrong thing, feel too much, show up late, fall apart in front of someone we wanted to impress. Those moments hold more power than any performance ever could, because those moments are real, and the real you is where the light lives. You cannot bloom while trying to be something you're not. A flower doesn't ask permission to grow, and it doesn't try to look like the one next to it. It leans toward the light, no matter how twisted the path. You must do the same. Stop shaping yourself to fit spaces that were never meant to hold you. Stop shrinking to stay acceptable. There is no prize for being perfect, but there is peace in being honest. And peace, real peace, is where growth takes root. Perfection is an illusion. It is a costume stitched together by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of being seen too clearly. But growth happens when you turn and face that fear. When you say, yes, I'm afraid. Yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I'm still figuring it out. That admission isn't weakness. It's the start of strength. Because now you're no longer hiding. You're no longer performing. People think growth is loud, that it's a big, bold transformation. But often, it's quiet. It's the moment you choose to speak the truth instead of telling a pretty lie. It's the moment you rest instead of pushing past your breaking point. It's the day you let yourself be helped, even when your pride says no. That's growth. Gentle, slow, real. And it cannot take root in the soil of perfection. You were not created to be a statue. You were not made to be flawless, still, untouchable. You were made to move, to stretch, to fall and rise again. And the beauty of that journey is in the becoming, in the mistakes that taught you mercy, in the heartbreaks that taught you softness, in the failures that brought you back to yourself. When you perform perfection, you rob yourself of those lessons. You stay on the surface, untouched and unchanged. But when you let go, when you stop performing, you open yourself to growth that is lasting. You grow roots instead of just reaching for applause. You find depth instead of just image. You become someone who can hold space for others because you've held space for your own humanity. There is no shame in stumbling. There is no shame in not knowing. There is no shame in starting again. Shame only lives where honesty is silent. But the moment you stop pretending, the shame begins to lose its grip. And in that freedom, you find your strength. You learn that it's not your perfection that connects you to others. It's your willingness to be seen. The people who love you, the ones who matter, don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. They need you to say, I'm growing, but I'm not there yet. I'm healing, but I still hurt. I'm learning, and I'm open. That is how you build relationships that last. That is how you become someone you're proud of. Not because you met some flawless standard, but because you honored your own becoming. So take off the mask, lay down the performance. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to meet yourself. And the moment you stop performing, you finally begin. Courage lives in confession, not in silence. We often think bravery looks like a clenched jaw, a straight spine, and words swallowed before they tremble. We think silence keeps us strong, that if we don't say it, it doesn't hurt. If we don't admit it, it never happened. So we hold things in. We lock the doors tight. We cover the cracks with a steady face and call that strength. But silence is not strength. It is the shadow that keeps pain in the dark where it festers. Real courage is found in the breaking open, not the sealing shut. There is something deeply powerful about speaking the truth, especially when that truth is uncomfortable. When you admit that you were wrong, when you confess that you're hurting, when you let someone see the parts of you that don't have it all together, that is not weakness. That is the sacred kind of honesty that builds bridges, not walls. And yet, we are taught to be ashamed of that. We are taught to believe that to confess is to be exposed, to be less. But what if it's the opposite? What if the moment you open your mouth and say, I don't know, I'm scared, I'm tired, I need help, you don't lose power. You reclaim it. Confession is the act of setting yourself free, not for attention, not for pity, but for peace. It is not about unloading your pain onto others. It's about naming what is true so you no longer have to carry it alone. The burden of silence is too heavy. It bends the soul. It whispers lies that grow louder in the dark. You're the only one. You should be ashamed. You'll never be enough. But the moment you speak, the darkness breaks. And in that crack of light, healing begins. There is no healing without honesty. There is no freedom without facing the truth of where you've been and how it shaped you. Maybe you weren't always kind. Maybe you made a mistake that still burns in your chest. Maybe you've buried years of hurt behind a smile so convincing even you believed it for a while. But there's no shame in that. There's only the question, are you willing to let it rise? Are you willing to bring it out of silence and into light? The people who have the most courage are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall and still find the strength to say, this is where I broke, this is where I learned, this is where I'm still learning. That kind of truth creates space for connection. It softens judgment. It allows people to meet you not as a performance, but as a person. And in that meeting, something holy happens. Walls fall down, masks fall off, and what's left is real. Real doesn't mean perfect. Real means vulnerable. It means being honest about the ache while still reaching for joy. It means saying, this is what I feel, even when your voice shakes. Because that voice, shaky, soft, brave, is what keeps your soul alive. It is the voice that refuses to shrink. It is the voice that refuses to disappear just because the world says it's easier to stay quiet. Don't let silence keep you stuck. Don't let it convince you that you're alone in what you carry. There are people waiting to hold space for your truth. There are hearts that can handle your honesty. You do not have to bleed in secret. You do not have to win every battle alone. Courage is not about never needing anyone. It's about having the strength to say, I can't do this by myself anymore. So speak. Speak even if the words come slow. Speak even if your chest tightens and your eyes burn. Speak because your voice deserves to be heard. not just when it's polished and perfect, but when it's raw and real. That kind of confession doesn't just change you, it changes the room you're in. It softens it. It opens it. It gives others permission to be human too. Because when you are brave enough to tell the truth, you invite others to step out of hiding. You give them permission to breathe. And in a world so full of noise, there is still nothing more powerful than a soul that dares to speak the truth. Healing begins where shame ends. And shame, that quiet, heavy weight that settles in the soul, is a master of disguise. It walks in dressed like humility, like silence, like doing the right thing. It convinces you that your faults make you unlovable, that your past disqualifies you, that your softness is a stain and your truth is too much. Shame does not shout. It whispers. And the worst thing it tells you is to keep quiet, to stay small, to carry your wounds alone. But you were never meant to be healed in hiding. You were meant to be whole in the open. Shame grows in silence, in secrecy, in stories never spoken. It feeds on the belief that if people really knew you, the real, unedited you, they would turn away. So you build walls, you build performances, and you call it strength. But strength without honesty is just a prettier form of prison. It keeps you smiling on the outside while you ache on the inside. It keeps you moving fast, hoping if you just stay busy enough, maybe the shame won't catch up. But healing doesn't chase you down. It waits patiently until you're tired of pretending and brave enough to turn around and face what you've been running from. You don't erase shame by ignoring it. You don't silence it by burying it. You disarm it by naming it, by saying, yes, this happened. Yes, I did that. Yes, that hurt me. The moment you bring shame into the light, its power breaks, because shame cannot survive truth. It cannot survive compassion, and it surely cannot survive love. When you begin to offer yourself grace, not as a reward, but as a birthright, you loosen the grip shame has held on you. You start to believe that you don't have to earn your worthiness. You already have it. Bruised and bright, cracked and full of light, you are already enough. So many of us were raised to think that we had to be perfect to be accepted, that vulnerability was weakness, that needing help made us less. But healing begins when you say, I'm not okay. I'm not finished. I'm still hurting. And that's not a flaw. It's a part of the journey. You don't have to be healed to be whole. You don't have to have all the answers to be worthy of love. You don't have to be untouched by life to be radiant. Hey. Life is just as interesting and sad as anybody else. But at the end of the day, you become worthy of love. You don't have to be untouched by life to be worthy of love. You don't have to be untouched by life to be worthy of love. You don't have to be. In fact, it's your wounds, your scars, your stories of survival that shine the brightest light. To be human is to carry pain, and to be courageous is to stop hiding it. When you stop letting shame dictate your silence, you start living in truth. You start making room for healing. Because healing does not happen in the shadows. It happens in honest moments, in deep conversations, in the arms of someone who listens without fixing, in the quiet recognition that you are not alone in what you feel. When you allow yourself to be fully seen, not just the parts you've polished, but the pieces you've hidden, you begin to heal not just your wounds, but the shame that wrapped itself around them. Some will tell you to toughen up, to forget, to move on, but there is no healing in pretending. There is no freedom in denial. Real healing is slow and sacred. It asks you to feel the things you buried, to forgive the parts of you that made choices out of fear, to hold space for the version of yourself who didn't know better, to release the guilt that no longer belongs to you. Shame says you're not worthy of healing. Faith says you always were. You are allowed to let go of the story that says your past defines you. You are allowed to stop punishing yourself for what you didn't know then. You are allowed to rewrite your narrative in kindness. That is where healing lives, not in the erasing of what happened, but in the telling of it with softness instead of shame. And when you do that, when you meet yourself with compassion, you don't just find peace, you reclaim your power. You are not here to stay small. You are not here to stay silent. You are here to grow, to rise, to speak, to heal. And that healing begins the moment you say, I refuse to carry shame anymore. Freedom comes not from hiding your truth, but from living in it. The world will try to sell you a version of safety that looks like silence. It will tell you to keep your head down, smooth your voice, and tuck away the parts of yourself that are too loud, too tender, too complicated. But every time you fold yourself to fit someone else's mold, you lose a piece of your own liberation. You were not born to live behind a mask. You were born to breathe fully, to speak clearly, to stand in the light with nothing to prove and no fear of being seen. Living in your truth is not always easy. It takes courage to be honest when dishonesty feels safer. It takes strength to show up exactly as you are, especially when you've spent years believing you had to be more or less or someone else entirely. But truth has a power that performance can never match. When you speak your truth, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, something shifts in the atmosphere. You call your spirit back home. You remind yourself that freedom is not about being liked, it's about being real. There is no peace in pretending. Pretending is a heavy thing. It drains you in quiet ways. It makes you question your worth. It teaches you to settle for a life built on the approval of others. But when you choose truth, when you decide that who you are is enough, even with the cracks, even with the questions, even with the vulnerability, you step into something sacred. You step into a life that fits your soul. This world is not healed by perfection. It is healed by people brave enough to be real, brave enough to say, I don't have it all together, but I'm still showing up. Brave enough to admit their faults, speak their pain, and still offer their love. That is what truth does. It doesn't polish you. It purifies you. It strips away the fear, the shame, the hiding. And what's left is something solid, something grounded, something. Living in your truth doesn't mean shouting it from every rooftop. It means honoring it in your quiet choices. It means setting boundaries that protect your peace. It means walking away from what feels false, even if it looks good on the outside. It means standing by your values, your voice, your vision, especially when they are tested, and they will be. Because when you stop pretending, not everyone, some will ask for the version of you that made them more comfortable. Let them. That version was never your home anyway. You do not owe the world a palatable version of yourself. You owe yourself the truth. And the truth, when lived with grace, becomes a sanctuary. You begin to attract people who see you, not just your smile. You begin to find purpose in your honesty, clarity in your direction, and peace in your becoming. You no longer chase freedom like it's somewhere far away. You realize it was always waiting in your own voice. Too many people live entire lives in the shadows of should. I should be quieter. I should be stronger. I should be more like them. But your freedom doesn't live in the should. It lives in the I am. I am tender. I am trying. I am worthy. I am becoming. The truth is, your light was never in the parts you polished for applause. It was in the parts you tried to hide. It was in the trembling voice that still spoke, in the weary heart that still loved, in the flawed steps that still moved forward. That is where your freedom lives, not in being flawless, but in being fully, wildly, unapologetically you. And once you taste that kind of freedom, the kind that comes from living in your truth, you'll never go back to hiding again. So now, as you stand holding every fault you've tried to bury and every truth you once feared to speak, remember this. You are not broken because you are vulnerable. You are brave because you are vulnerable. Every crack in your story lets the light through. Every confession, every stumble, every tear you did not apologize for brought you closer to freedom. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be whole, honest, and deeply alive. Walk forward with your truth, not as something to defend, but as something to honor. Let the world see your real face, hear your real voice, and feel your real heart. There is no shame in being human. There is only the power of rising again and again in your own becoming. Good luck on your journey. Walk tall, speak true, and never be afraid to begin again. Thank you. My friends, there is a stillness and wisdom, a grace that walks quiet and sure through the fire. And it begins not when we shout, but when we listen. Let me tell you something. Not everything that pulls at your spirit deserves your energy. Not every battle is meant for your fists. Some are conquered with a calm heart, a lifted chin, and a voice that knows how to speak without screaming. You see, people will test you. Oh, yes, they will. They will poke at your peace like children do a sleeping lion, hoping to rattle the roar out of you. But you are not a cage of fury waiting to be shaken. You are not a collection of storms held together by rage. You are light. You are rhythm. You are born of deeper things. There is a strength, quiet and unwavering, that walks in silence. It is not the absence of words, nor the lack of power. It is power under control. In a world that moves fast and demands instant reaction, we are often made to believe that silence is surrender, that if we don't clap back or shout back, we are somehow losing. But silence, when chosen with intention, is not weakness, it's strategy in motion. It is the ability to pause, to watch, to understand. It is the refusal to let others pull you out of your character simply because they've lost grip of theirs. When someone challenges you, provokes you, or underestimates you, your first instinct might be to react. That flash of anger, that need to prove, that burning urge to say something, anything, to show them who you are. But pause. Feel that fire and then don't feed it. Because reaction is immediate. It is emotional. It feels good for a second, but often it costs more than it's worth. Silence, on the other hand, carries weight. It speaks in its own time, not out of impulse, but out of understanding. That's strategy. That's power that doesn't waste itself on noise. Think of it. How often has your silence unsettled someone more than your words ever could? How often has your stillness made the storm louder in the other person? When you hold your peace, you force people to face their own noise. You become the mirror, not the echo. You stand firm not by shouting, but by refusing to be pulled down into the chaos. That takes courage. That takes self-respect. And that is exactly what separates a reaction from a response. A response is a decision. It is the pause between what's said to you and what you decide to say back or not say at all. It's the difference between someone trying to start a fire and you choosing to bring water instead of gasoline. That kind of choice doesn't come from weakness. It comes from knowing who you are, from knowing that your time, your energy, your peace, those are not things you give away easily. They are sacred. And no opponent, no critic, no bitter voice deserves to own them. Some people speak just to be loud. They stir conflict to feel important. But you don't have to match that. You're not in a race to be the last one talking. You're here to walk in truth, in strength, in purpose. That means learning when to speak, when to hold, and when to walk away. It means knowing that your silence can be a message all its own. I see you, but I choose not to play this game. There's wisdom in not reacting. There's depth in that quiet space where you check in with your values before you answer anyone. It's there you ask yourself, is this worth my breath? Is this where I plant my energy? Or is this just noise dressed up like importance? And when you do speak, because yes, there are times to speak, your words will land stronger because they weren't thrown, they were delivered. There's a difference, and people feel it. A response that comes from calm, from clarity, carries more weight than 10 rushed reactions. Because you didn't say it just to win, you said it to grow, to build, to teach, or to protect what matters. So let them talk, let them twist, let them throw shade or raise their voice. You stay grounded, you stay whole. Because not everything needs your reaction. And when you choose to be silent, when you choose to pause, you are not stepping back. You are stepping up into a power that doesn't need to announce itself. Let your silence speak with strength. Let your response rise with intention, and always remember, what you don't say often holds more wisdom than what you do. There is a deep difference between reacting and responding, though at first glance they might seem the same. But one is born of impulse, the other of intention. Reaction is emotion, response is wisdom. And when life presses your buttons, when people cross lines or speak to you with fire, your power is not in how quickly you return the heat. It's in how gracefully you choose your reply. We live in a world where everything pushes us to be quick, to move fast, think fast, speak fast. But not everything that comes fast is right. Some things, especially the important things, require stillness, a pause, a breath. Because reaction doesn't ask for understanding. It just asks for release. It's that sharp retort on the tip of your tongue, the clench in your jaw, the heat in your chest. It wants to escape, and when it does, it feels like relief for a moment. But often all it leaves behind is regret, or worse, damage you didn't mean to cause. Wisdom doesn't rush. It waits. It listens to the whole room, not just the loudest voice in it. And that's the heart of a response. It is guided not by how you feel in the moment, but by what you know, who you are, and where you don't just speak to be heard, you speak to be understood and to understand in return. That's the kind of speech that builds, not breaks. When someone pushes your boundaries, when they mock, when they challenge, it is easy to let your emotions run wild. But easy isn't always right. What's right is learning how to hold yourself steady in the chaos. That's where your strength is. That's where growth begins. Because the more you grow, the more you'll realize that not every feeling deserves a voice. Some need to be sifted through, softened, shaped before they become something worth sharing. Think of the people who have moved mountains, not just with their volume, but with their vision. They didn't react to every insult, every slight, every opposition. They responded when it mattered. They understood that if you want to lead, if you want to grow, if you want to become more than the moment, then you have to be bigger than your ego. You have to rise above the noise that tries to pull you into the dirt. Responsiveness is power with purpose. It is choosing to be mindful even when you are offended. It's the strength to think clearly, speak kindly, and act wisely, especially when someone is trying to make you do the opposite. That kind of strength is rare. It is not loud, it does not demand attention, but when it walks in the room, it is felt. Because it commands not with fear, but with calm. And when you respond, instead of reacting, you take control. You are no longer a puppet to your anger or your fear. You're the author of your actions. You're not being moved by the moment, you're moving through it. That's the kind of power no one can take from you. So, when your opponents come, and they always will, remember you are not here to prove your anger. You are here to prove your wisdom. You don't need to meet aggression with aggression. Let them throw noise. Let them play small. You play wise. You speak slow. You move deliberately. Because people forget the words thrown in anger, but they remember the strain of a person who kept their peace in the middle of a storm. Choose to respond. Choose to be aware. Choose to pause. And let your response speak not just for the moment, but for the kind of person you're becoming. Not every fire needs fuel. Some just need your stillness. There's a kind of power this world doesn't talk about enough. It's quiet. It's personal. It doesn't come with applause or approval. It's the power of self-control. In a time where many chase control over others, trying to change how people see them, greet them, speak to them, the deepest strength lies in mastering yourself. Control over self is greater than control over others. Because when you can govern your thoughts, your words, your reactions, you walk through life with a kind of freedom no one can give you and no one can take away. You've probably felt it, that tight knot in your chest when someone disrespects you, talks down to you, doubts you. That urge to prove them wrong, to snap, to react without thinking. It's a natural feeling. But just because something is natural doesn't mean it serves you. You see, anyone can react, anyone can yell. But not everyone can pause, breathe, and respond from a place of clarity. That takes discipline. That takes emotional maturity. And it takes courage to face yourself before facing the world. When someone tries to provoke you, what they're really trying to do is take your power. They want to pull you out of your peace, because once you lose that, you lose your footing. But when you are in control of yourself, your emotions, your energy, your direction, you are unshakable. You may feel the sting of their words, but you don't let them plant roots. You may feel the rise of heat in your chest, but you choose not to let it speak for you. That's the kind of power that comes from within. People often think strength is in domination and being louder, quicker, sharper. But true strength is in restraint. It's in knowing you could strike back, but you choose not to. Not because you're afraid, not because you're weak, but because you value your peace more than a temporary victory. You understand that the real battle isn't out there, it's in here, inside you. And every time you choose self-control over impulse, you win that battle. You don't need to control how others behave. You only need to control how you respond. Because trying to control others is like chasing smoke. But when you control yourself, when you keep your focus, when you stay grounded, even in the middle of chaos, you become immovable. And people feel that. They sense that. They can't shake you. They can't pull you down into the pit they live in. That's when you rise. Self-control doesn't mean you suppress everything. It means you sift through it. You learn to recognize your triggers, name your emotions, and choose your words with care. It's the difference between letting your emotions drive the car and letting them ride in the passenger seat. They're there, you see them, you acknowledge them, but they don't control where you're going. This level of mastery doesn't come overnight. It comes with practice, with patience, with falling short and getting back up again. But each time you pause when you could have exploded, each time you speak when you're ready, not just when you're angry, you grow. And that growth becomes strength. That strength becomes peace. And that peace becomes your power. There will always be people who want to test you. Let them. There will always be noise. Let it pass. You just keep working on you. Keep building your foundation so strong that even when someone tries to shake it, it doesn't move. Because you know who you are. You know what you're about. And you're not here to win arguments. You're here to win at life. So the next time your opponent comes with fire, don't meet it with fire. Meet it with calm. Meet it with clarity. Meet it with a heart that's rooted in purpose. Because you've learned that the highest form of control is not over the world, but over yourself. Let your discipline speak louder than their disrespect. There's something beautiful about opposition, though it rarely feels that way at first. When someone stands against you, mocks your progress, or questions your worth, it may sting, but buried inside that sting is an opportunity. Every opponent is an opportunity to practice grace. They don't come just to test your strength. They come to reveal it. Not the kind of strength that shouts or throws back words like weapons, but the strength that holds steady, speaks calmly, and stays rooted in purpose. Grace is not softness. It is not surrender. Grace is power wrapped in patience. It is wisdom dressed in kindness. It's the decision to stay gentle when you could go hard. It's the strength to be thoughtful when you're tempted to be cruel. And it is one of the greatest tools you can carry when facing opposition. Because people don't expect it. They expect you to match their tone, mirror their energy, and stoop to their level. But when you don't, when you rise instead, it catches them off guard. It shows them, and yourself, that you are led by something deeper. Not every opponent is your enemy. Some are mirrors, showing you where your pride still lingers, where your patience needs growth, where your peace has cracks. They press buttons, not because they hold power, but because they test whether you've taken ownership of your own. And when you meet that test with grace, you turn the encounter into something transformative, not just for them, but for you. There will always be those who misunderstand you, those who see your calm as weakness, your silence as surrender, your kindness as fragility. Let them. That misunderstanding is theirs to carry, not yours to correct. You weren't put here to convince everyone of your strength. You were put here to live it. And true strength, the kind that lasts, is always clothed in grace. It knows when to speak and when to stay silent. It knows when to step forward and when to stand still. When someone comes at you with fire and you return with calm, that's grace. When someone throws shade and you reply with light, that's grace. When you are insulted and your dignity holds, that's grace. And it's not always for them, it's for you. It keeps your heart light, your conscience clear, your journey uncluttered. Because every time you meet hate with hate, you carry some of that weight with you. But when you meet it with grace, You leave it where it belongs, behind you. Opponents will come, they always do. But they don't define your story unless you let them. They don't control your narrative unless you hand them the pen. So don't. Keep writing your story with intention. Let your pages be filled with lessons, not reactions, with responses that show your growth, not your ego. Because the way you treat your opponent speaks volumes about the life you're building. It's not about letting people walk over you. It's about choosing how you walk away with grace, with pride, with your spirit intact. You're not ignoring the battle, you're choosing a different kind of fight. One that's not about destruction, but about elevation. And every time you meet someone's darkness with your light, you rise a little higher. So the next time someone stands in your way or throws words like stones, don't throw them back. Stand still, stand tall. Let your response be a reflection of who you are becoming, not a reaction to who they are. You don't need to win them over. You just need to stay true. Because you've learned something they haven't. Grace is not weakness. It is strength refined by wisdom, softened by experience, and delivered with intention. Let your grace be your answer when the world expects fire. Not every argument is worth your voice. Not every insult requires your attention, and not every invitation into conflict deserves a reply. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. That truth alone can change the way you walk through this world. Because peace isn't always found in silence. It's found in the decisions you make about what deserves your energy. And choosing not to show up to every battle isn't a loss, it's a lesson in power. There will always be someone trying to pull you into their storm. Someone who finds their voice in chaos and tries to drag you into it just to prove they can shake you. But just because they're loud doesn't mean they're worth listening to. Just because they poke at you doesn't mean you have to flinch. When you've done the work to build inner peace, to master your emotion, and to know your worth, you begin to see arguments for what they really are. Distractions dressed as confrontations. Most of the time, people aren't even arguing with you. They're wrestling with themselves. You're just the mirror they happen to catch their reflection in. And that reflection unsettles them because it shows them calm when they expected conflict. It shows them grace when they were ready for a fight. And that's the very reason they push harder. Because nothing confuses the disturbed like someone who refuses to be disturbed in return. But that is where your power lies, not in how loud you can speak, but in how carefully you choose when to speak at all. You begin to realize that not every conversation is worth stepping into. Some are just traps, loops, the kind of circular talk that goes nowhere but leaves you tired, bitter, and pulled off course. That's not where your focus belongs. Your focus belongs on your path, your purpose, your peace. You see, wisdom is not proven by how well you fight. It's proven by what you choose to walk away from. That's not avoidance, it's awareness. It's knowing that your time, your thoughts, your spirit, those are treasures. You don't throw them into every ring where someone's swinging at the air. You save them for what matters. And when you do that, you stay clear, you stay whole. There is a difference between speaking up and speaking back. Speaking up is about standing in truth. Speaking back is often about proving something. To them, to yourself, or to people watching. But the thing is, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to show them how sharp your tongue is or how quick your wit can cut. You prove your strength in your stillness. You prove your growth by walking away and letting the fire burn out on its own. You may feel misunderstood when you don't defend yourself. You may feel judged for not clapping back, but listen, let them misunderstand, let them talk. Because anyone who truly sees you, who truly knows what strength looks like, will know exactly what your silence means. And even if they don't, that's not your burden to carry. You don't live for their approval. You live for your peace. There's power in choosing where you show up. There's freedom in not having to reply to every accusation, every rumor, every sideways glance, because some battles aren't meant to be fought. They're meant to be walked past. Let people say what they will. Let them try to stir the pot. You stay calm. You stay grounded. Because you've realized that the ones who win the war are not always the loudest. They're the ones who choose their battles wisely. So next time the noise comes knocking, pause. Ask yourself, does this serve me? Will this grow me? Or is this just another invitation I can respectfully decline? And if it is, then go ahead, let the door stay closed. Let them argue with the echo. Walk away with your peace intact. It's a strange thing how some people seem to measure strength by how much they can provoke, how deep they can cut with words, how quickly they can pull others into their chaos. But when you look closely, it's not strength at all. It's noise. It's pain wearing the mask of power. And when you learn to see through that mask, you begin to understand that the moment someone starts attacking your character, it's not about you. It's about them. When they can't touch your purpose, they come for your name. People won't always be able to handle your light. And when they can't reach the level you're growing into, they will try to drag you down to where they feel safe. When you stay focused, when you move in purpose, when you keep your peace and respond with grace, they get uncomfortable. Because your peace threatens their unrest. Your discipline highlights their disorder. And when they realize they can't distract you, they try to discredit you. They may speak against you, misrepresent you, create stories that paint you in the light they prefer, not the one you live in. That's when the attacks come. Not because you are weak, but because you are walking strong. They need to believe something is wrong with you to make themselves feel right. But here's what you need to remember. You are not responsible for their comfort. You are responsible for your integrity. You don't have to shrink so they feel tall. You don't have to shout just because they do. What you have to do is stay committed to who you are. It's tempting when your character is questioned to jump into the ring and defend yourself, to argue, to prove, to plead your case. But what you learn over time is this. Character doesn't have to announce itself. It reveals itself consistently, quietly, with time, and no matter what they say, no matter how they twist your words. Those who need to know the truth will see it, and those who don't want to see it never would, no matter what you said. Don't waste your energy trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Let them talk. Let them stir. Let them spin their stories. You just keep showing up, keep doing the work. Keep letting your life speak louder than their accusations. Because you know the truth, and the truth always outlives the lie. It doesn't always shout, but it stands firm, unshaken, unmoved. You're not here to entertain distractions. You're here to walk in purpose, to speak with intention, to live with depth. And every time you choose to let your actions speak rather than your ego, you become a little more free. Free from the need to be liked, free from the need to clap back, free from the weight of opinions that do not build you. So when they come for your character, when they can't reach your mission and start whispering about your name, smile. Not because it doesn't hurt, not because you don't care, but because you see it for what it is. Proof that you are walking in something they don't understand, and that misunderstanding is not yours to fix. Let them misunderstand. Let them guess. You don't have to explain the road you're on to people who were never meant to walk it with you. Your presence, your purpose, your peace, that is your protection. Keep moving, keep growing. Let your life continue to be the loudest response. Stay rooted in who you are, even when they question everything you stand for. Some people will never see you clearly, no matter how brightly you shine or how truthfully you live. They will hold you in the corners of their assumptions, define you by a chapter they walked in on, or cling to versions of you that no longer exist. And that's okay. You don't need their understanding to walk in your truth. You don't need their validation to keep moving forward. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to become who you were born to be. There comes a time when you realize that peace isn't found in convincing others. It's found in releasing them. Let people misunderstand you. Let them judge, speculate, and spin stories that suit their lens. You were never meant to fit into small frames painted by limited minds. The more you grow, the more you realize that not everyone will clap for your clarity. Not everyone will honor your evolution. And some will resent it because your growth challenges their comfort. Your grace unsettles their chaos. Your stillness calls out their storm, and instead of facing themselves, they choose to project. But you've grown past the point of needing to explain yourself. You've learned that your energy is sacred, that it deserves to be spent on building, not begging. That your focus belongs on your own reflection, not on trying to correct the distorted mirrors of others. And when someone misreads your silence, your kindness, your boundaries, let them. That's not your burden to carry. What they think of you is a reflection of them, not you. And what you choose to become is your reflection alone. So protect your peace like it's your life, because it is. Don't let their confusion disturb your clarity. Don't let their noise shake your rhythm. You are not required to explain your choices to those who never ask about your wounds. You are not responsible for making your story digestible to those who only want to taste the drama, not the truth. The strongest people are not always loud. They don't need to parade their pain or prove their worth. They walk softly with their heads high because they know who they are, whether the world claps or not. And that's the kind of power you carry when you choose to live in your truth unapologetically. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's knowing that your value doesn't rise and fall based on someone else's inability to recognize it. So let them watch you from a distance. Let them whisper. Let them guess. Meanwhile, you keep building, keep growing, keep healing. Let your life be the response. Let your journey speak for you. Because the people meant for you, the ones who matter, won't need convincing. They'll recognize you in your wholeness, not in the fragments others tried to break you into. Don't bend yourself just to be understood. Don't dilute your truth just to be accepted. You are not a watered down version of someone else's expectations. You are a force, a flame. And even if some people never understand your light, it doesn't make it any less powerful. Some will never see you clearly, not because you're unclear, but because their vision is clouded by fear, ego, or their own pain. That's not yours to fix. You've learned to protect your peace not with walls, but with wisdom, not by shutting people out, but by knowing who belongs in your space and who doesn't. And when you stop explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you, you begin to feel light again. You begin to walk in power, not performance, in truth, not tension. So walk on even when the crowd doesn't get it. Speak softly even when the noise grows louder. Smile gently even when the world frowns at your light. You don't owe them anything. Not your explanation, not your energy, not your peace. Let your life remain the answer even if they never ask the right question. And so, as you walk forward from here, remember this. Your power is not in how you react to your opponents, but in how you respond with grace, wisdom, and quiet strength. You are not here to win arguments. You are here to win peace. You are not here to prove yourself to those who cannot see your worth. You are here to live your truth so deeply that even silence speaks for you. Let your calm be louder than their chaos. Let your purpose be stronger than their noise. And when the world throws shadows at you, shine anyway. Protect your peace, walk in truth, and leave behind what no longer serves the path you're destined to walk. Thank you for giving your heart and time to this message. May your journey ahead be steady, your spirit remain unshaken, and your growth be your quiet, undeniable victory. Good luck, and always, always choose the higher road.